Francisco is at home here, deep in the Amazon rainforest, land that his people, an indigenous group, have lived on for centuries. Lorenzo farms this small patch of land in Nicaragua, growing corn and vegetables for his family. Although Lorenzo and Francisco live very different lives, thousands of miles away from each other, there are some important parallels between them. Both men's lives are directly influenced by how the land, air, and water they depend on for survival are being polluted and destroyed. Travel with Building with Books to the Brazilian Amazon and to the banana plantations of Nicaragua to see how environmental changes have and continue to affect the way people live. The Amazon spreads across much of South America, covering an area almost as large as the continental United States. The Amazon covers parts of Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, Guyana, Suriname, French Guiana, and Venezuela. But more than 1.9 million square miles of the Amazon lie in Brazil. The Amazon River Basin is the most biodiverse place on Earth. 1/3 of all the world's plant and animal life is found here. Plants and animals living nowhere else in the world, medicines and vaccines, and food sources originate in this, the world's largest rainforest. In addition to the plethora of plants and animals, there are more than 400 different indigenous groups living in the Amazon. The Sacrabier, of which Francisco and his family are members, are indigenous to this part of the Brazilian Amazon. Yet, Francisco and other indigenous people and the plants and animals they depend on for survival are in grave danger. The Amazon is disappearing. According to the environmental group Greenpeace, the rainforest is being destroyed at a rate equivalent to 6 football fields a minute. In the Amazon, this is done by clear-cutting, which means that all of the trees are removed from a large area at one time. Often, the entire area is then burned to ensure that there is no regrowth. The cleared land is used for farming and grazing animals. However, rainforest land makes poor grazing areas. Without the trees to absorb the rainwater, the land quickly becomes saturated and turns into fields of mud, unable to nourish cattle. 4 or 5 years after it has been cleared, the land often sits unused, unable to support new growth. As outsiders come to hunt, log, and graze, indigenous people lose or are violently forced off their land. With the forest they have always relied on rapidly disappearing, many of the remaining indigenous groups have been forced to adapt a farming lifestyle. Some groups have been more successful than others. They have been helped tremendously by demarcating their land. Demarcation is the best way for indigenous people to ensure their land is protected. Demarcation means that the land is officially recognized as belonging to an indigenous group and can be used only by members of that group. There is strong resistance to indigenous lands being demarcated. Enforcing the law over such a huge area with limited funding is extremely difficult. Legal and illegal clearing of the forest continue at an alarming pace, including in lands that are demarcated. The fate of Francisco, his family, and all indigenous people is tenuous and uncertain. Saving the Amazon and its indigenous people will require the determination and dedication of people all over the world.
Timbar mazina ya leila ya wanne ya na timbar mazina